Hey horror fans, once again it's the Horror Miser Monty G, and today I will go over my top 10 horror films of 2017. Now I must say 2017 has been an excellent year for horror. We had some very great winners, we had some latecomers come on, and I think this was a great year for horror, and we had a very successful year for horror. We have a newcomer with Jordan Peele with Get Out. We had a surprising, obviously, the success of It should tell movie studios that you can have an R-rated horror picture and it'll make money. We had some surprises with The Babysitter and Geralds Game. And like I said, it was a very great, successful year in horror. Now, of course, on my group on Killerflix, we saw Lee McCoy from Drum Dums. Yeah, I'll get that right one time. And Cody Leash and Bryant. They all had their top tens, and they all did their top 10 together, and I thought the list was pretty good. Obviously, there was some surprises as what I saw on the number one. I saw some omissions that they had. I guess that's what they felt. So here is what I believe, this is my opinion only, my top 10 horror films of 2017. Now, of course, I had to actually, it didn't take me long to get 10. I just had to figure out where to put them at. So that's why I had to wait before I could put mine up. But I got them. And now here are the top 10 horror films of 2017 from the Horror Miser Monty G. Now, before I begin number 10, I want to give a highly recommended movie, which will be Alien Covenant. I really wanted to put this on my top 10 list because I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was a great follow-up to Prometheus. I know a lot of people didn't like Prometheus because they said, most people say, where are the xenomorphs at? And I said to myself, wait a minute, this movie is not about the xenomorph. It's a totally different film. It had nothing to do about the aliens. Yes, we do see an alien at the end credits, but it really had nothing to do with them. So I was very impressed with that film, and I thought this was a great follow-up to Prometheus. Yes, it did have an ending almost similar to what we've seen in the Aliens films, but I thought the film was very good. I love Michael Fassbender's performance as David and William. David was a great villain. I didn't really like the twist ending that much, when it came to the end of the film, but I really enjoyed it. But it just couldn't crack my top 10. So highly recommended Alien Covenant, which I call my highly recommended film. Now on to film number 10. So coming at number 10 will be the movie Life. Now, a lot of people would say that this was an Alien ripoff, and yes, you can say it kind of was, because it has the basic same premise. You have scientists go out in space, screwing up with something they have no business doing, and unfortunately, it involves a xenomorph or an extraterrestrial life form in this particular instance. And of course, things go wrong, shit hits the fan, and all of a sudden, everyone's starting to die. But I did like this film. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was great in his performance. I thought Rebecca Ferguson was great as well. There was some great special effects, nice tension in the area. I even loved the twist at the end because I didn't see that coming. I even liked the alien. It was a different type of life form that we have not seen. And so I really enjoyed this film. Yes, it has some similarities to Alien and the Alien franchise, but it's its own movie. So my number 10 film is Life. Alright, coming in at number 9, we have The Devil's Candy. This was a very, very good film. I really loved it a lot. We see Ethan Embry and his family. They are a metal band. He and his daughter have this nice relationship because they both love metal. And they move into this house. Unfortunately, it was previously owned by a guy who was absolutely crazy. Heard the devil whispering into his ear, and unfortunately that also starts to influence Ethan Embry's character as well. It was a very fascinating film, very well acted by Ethan Embry, and I forgot the dude's name that played the psychopath. He did a good job as well. Really enjoyed the film. You could tell at the end, the fake fire at the end obviously didn't have enough to do a little bit better than a fake fire end. But hey, look, it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the film. So number 9 is The Devil's Candy. Coming in at number 8, I consider this the surprise horror hit of the year, and that's Happy Death Day. Yes, this movie came out of nowhere, and when I saw the previews, I really didn't expect anything much about it. I figured, oh, here we go, another one of these PG-13 movies. But the movie was actually pretty good. It does a great job in using the Groundhog Day gimmick. Combine that with the elements of Scream, and you have this particular movie. Jessica Rowe, who plays Tree, I believe that's what her name is. If I got that wrong, let me know. With a weird name, she unfortunately has to keep repeating every time when she dies. She has to keep repeating that and living until she finds out who her killer is. And I like how they changed it up. They didn't just simply have her die the same way all the time. They always came up with different ways for her to die. And in each instance, we learn something new. And we also learn about her character. When we first begin, she's very not a likable character. We don't like her. But as we learn more about her backstory, that she was actually a nice girl, and unfortunately something happened in her life, and she became a total bitch. But as we see throughout the movie, how she realizes what a mean person she's come, and she actually changes for the better. So I really like the play, like the movie. I like the performance by Jessica Rowe, and I like the movie a lot. So my number 8 film is Happy Death Day. Coming in at number 7 is Annabelle Creation. Man, this was a breath of fresh air after the somewhat semi-disaster of Annabelle. You know, this is part of the Conjuring universe because everyone loved the Annabelle doll so much in the first Conjuring movie that they decided to give her a spinoff. And a lot of people didn't like it. I thought the film had some creepy moments in it, but it just wasn't enough. I thought the main leads were not very engaging, and obviously the filmmakers thought so too, so that's why they came up with this one, and they did a fresh job with this one. Lulu Wilson, who also starred in Ouija, Origin of Evil, who did a great job on that one, does a great job as well, along with, I forget the other actress's name. They do a great job. The director does a great job of creating tension in the film. It was an excellent performance by these two girls. I thought everyone did a great job in the film. We find out this film gives you the actual origin of the Annabelle doll, and also ties in with the first Annabelle picture. So I thought they did a great job with that. So it was a very great movie, and I enjoyed it a lot. So my number 7 film is Annabelle Creation. Coming in at number 7 will be the movie Split. This was M. Night Shyamalan's second film after his return to greatness with The Visit comes Split. We have James McAvoy. He plays a guy who suffers from 23 different personalities. He suffers from the true diagnosis, is what's called dissociative identity disorder. He has 23 multiple personalities, and we see him perform very well as he switches back and forth between each personality, and I thought that was very well acted. It's a shame that he will not get nominated for an Academy Award. He really deserves it because he put on a grand performance on this one. M. Night Shyamalan has returned before him, and of course we have the great twist at the end that's going to lead to a movie they're filming somewhere around in Philadelphia called Glass. Those people who saw the film know what I'm talking about because we didn't expect that ending to come into play. I was very surprised at the end as well, but a very great movie. It's great to see M. Night Shyamalan back to what he does best. So my number 6 film is Split. Coming in at number 5, we have Geralds Game. Yes, Geralds Game, a great, fascinating look into the lives of a married couple who are trying to rekindle their lives. Unfortunately, we all know the husband drops dead, and the wife has to unfortunately remain handcuffed to the bed. This is based on a Stephen King's novel, and you really have to give Carla Gugino credit for her performance in the movie. Again, she should be nominated for an Academy Award, but they simply do not give people nominations for horror movies. Even though this is really not a horror movie, this is more like a psychological horror picture. But she does an outstanding job. It keeps you engaged throughout the movie. We see some great performances. We see some secrets that are revealed, some hidden truths, whether or not is she a sufferer of abuse or not. And so finally some satisfaction is made at the end of the film. Like I said, when I reviewed this film, I said I liked the contrast that the director gave to this woman that she's playing, as far as the darkness that she goes into. And when she finally comes out of the darkness, I like how they play that in the foreground. So my number 5 film is Gerald's Game. Coming in at number 4 is The Babysitter. Yes, The Babysitter, another Netflix film. Very great horror comedy, perhaps one of the best horror comedies I've seen. We see a 12-year-old who is very fascinated with his babysitter, but the babysitter, because he gets bullied constantly by this kid in the neighborhood. She comes to his rescue. She's nice. She's gorgeous. They get along great. They get along fine. One night he decides to find out what do they do when he goes to bed, and comes to find out, she's a Satanist, and she has a Satanist cult, and they kill this kid. And so the movie goes around him trying to escape her clutches of her and her cultist friends. I love this movie a lot. It's definitely a lot better than Better Watch Out, which I thought was a not as good as everyone said it is. But that's just my opinion. Again, I just didn't like Better Watch Out. The Babysitter and Better Watch Out have similar premises, but The Babysitter is a much better film. I love the performance of the characters. You really understand the relationship, especially the kid. He really loves this. I guess you could say he actually loves this girl, despite their age differences. But you can see their camaraderie together. I really enjoyed the film. Really enjoyed the film, and I think we wouldn't be surprised if we see a sequel for this one. So my number 4 film is The Babysitter. Coming in at number 3 is the surprise hit of the year, Get Out. Yes, Jordan Peele's directorial debut of Get Out. This was a fascinating film about a different take on racial tensions, race relationships in today's society. We have this interesting story about this biracial couple, this mixed couple, as he heads over to see her parents, and things are not what they seem to be. And I thought the lead actors did a very good job. I thought Jordan Peele's directing was excellent. I love how he filmed this. I love how he wrote it. It's a different take of how we see race relations today. He doesn't use the typical story. He doesn't use the typical stereotypical race. And I'm actually glad how he ended the film as well. And I really enjoyed this film. This actually was my number 1 film for a long time until I saw some other movies. I'm pretty sure you're probably guessing it as we're coming down to the nitty gritty. But my number 3 film is Get Out. Now, I had a very difficult time placing these last two movies because I really enjoyed them both. And I really had a hard time, but I finally came to the conclusion that based upon what I like better than the other, even though I really enjoyed them, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have their number 1 horror film, and that's Raw. Raw comes at number 2. This was a French film. It stars this girl who, unfortunately, going to veterinarian school, she get to this hazing thing where she has to eat meat. Now, keep in mind that she's a vegetarian, doesn't eat meat. Now, once she eats meat, all of a sudden she starts getting a craving for it. And we see this fascinating study of hazing, growing up, sibling rivalry, and of course, a dark secret is revealed as well. This is a very nice film. Gives me reason that why American filmmakers don't push boundaries like they do in other countries, because they do push a lot of boundaries in this film. But it's very well acted, very well paced, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Really had trouble trying to get whether I was going to make this number 1 or not, but obviously people who know me probably can figure out what my number 1 movie is. But my number 2 movie is Raw. So, my horror fans, I'm pretty sure you probably know by now what my number 1 movie of 2017 is, and that is It. Yes, Pennywise, It. Perhaps one of the best horror movies I've seen in my lifetime, but it is my number 1 horror picture of the year. You can't get anything better than this movie was. Billy Scarsdale did a fascinating job as Pennywise. He was terrifying. He was menacing. He was gross. I mean, the film actually went there, by the minute that I say within the first 5 minutes after we first get introduced to Pennywise and Georgie. And after that scene right there, I knew we were in for a very great film. The child actors that they do in this film are fantastic because if it's not for them, this film would not be as good as it was, despite Billy Garsto's performance. Now, I always compare this, obviously, to the 1990 television adaptation of It with Tim Curry. And yes, Tim Curry was great as Pennywise, but his Pennywise was funny, comical at times, but also menacing and frightening when he needed to be. But here, this Pennywise, Billy Scarter's Pennywise, he's just flat out frightening, scary, menacing, and terrifying. And he pulls no punches with these children as they battle Pennywise. And I certainly can't wait to see when they do Chapter 2 with the adults. And I hope they don't screw it up like they did in the 1990 adaptation. So my number one horror film of 2017 is Stephen King's It. So my horror fans, what do you think about my top 10 horror films? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? What are your top 10 horror films? Or even if you can't come up with 10, come up with 5. Leave your comments down in your comment section and tell me what are your top 10 or top 5 horror films of 2017. And if you agree with my list or not, leave the comments in the comment section below. Well, horror fans, that's my video for today. I hope you did enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed my top 10. And if you did, please give this a thumbs up. And if this is your first time here, please hit that subscriber button and ring that notification bell. That way you become part of the horror experience with me, the Horror Miser Monty G. And as always, all my social media links will be down in the description below as well. Once again, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Miser Monty G. And always remember, horror rules.